You're listening to the best local sports show. Boots, Bats and Balls on Six Towns Radio.
It's just after 10:21. Let's cross to the Britannia Stadium. The Stoke City press conference has taken place. And there for Six Towns Radio is Dave Lee. Morning, Dave.
Good morning. I'm not actually at Britannia Stadium. I'm at that training ground at down the road at Clayton.
Oh, but, I see. Okay, so yeah. You get about a bit, you do. And what's been said this morning, then? Is Tony Pulis very relaxed?
Well, actually, he didn't seem so relaxed this morning. I'm wondering what's buzzing him. You know, he didn't seem as light-hearted as he normally does. I think maybe all this transfer news is sort of like beginning to get him down. He was having to scotch a few rumours about this and sort of play down a few rumours about that. One rumour that he did dismiss was that Ryan Shawcross was thinking of joining QPR. I mean, he scoffed at that completely. That's being reported on the internet. He's still working on getting Tom Huddlestone from Spurs on a loan deal for the season. He says that will be settled at noon today, one way or the other. I think that there's obviously still an issue over the fitness. He wouldn't be drawn about that, but he says, yeah, noon today, then we'll talk about it.
Could be a good acquisition for the Potters if they do get Tom Huddlestone. I've seen him play many times, Dave. Very strong midfielder, good ball winner. But I suspect, as you just alluded to, question mark over his fitness. He didn't play that many times for Spurs last season, did he?
No, he didn't. And that's sort of like a sort of typical Tony Pulis signing. He goes for these sort of like long shots, I think, really. Yeah. And he thinks, well. Is he really going to? And I think there is always a question about some of the players. I mean, Jamie Ness, he's also brought in from Rangers, and it seems every player he seems to bring along seems to have a question mark. But you have to remember that when they signed Robert Huth, and I forgot this, but when Robert Huth was signed, injury problems galore, and yet you think of the number of games that he's played, of course, for Stoke since he signed. So I think he'll know one way or the other. Mind you, of course, he has turned down one or two players who had problems, and he's been caught out that way as well.
Just looking back to last week's game, and we talked about him on the show, didn't we, last Friday morning? Michael Kightly got the goal. How's he settling in?
Yes, Pulis is very sort of pleased with Kightly. I think he really sees him as the star attraction. I think this year he feels a lot happier. I think having many more choices on the wing. I think I said this last week. And being able to sort of use him, and the fact that he scored a goal, although it wasn't the greatest goal in the world, it all counts, and it'll increase his confidence. I think he's expecting big things from him, and I suspect he will start against Arsenal. In fact, I'm 99% sure from what Tony Pulis said that he's going to start against Arsenal. He's obviously a star act, and so I'll be looking forward to seeing the game tomorrow. Another person who may feature as well is Jeff Cameron, who's sort of like had all these visa problems, getting over, of course, from the United States. By the way, if you can hear some noise in the background, what's actually happening is I'm into a car park, and they're valeting. They've got a sort of like mobile valet service, and they're valeting all the players' cars. So all these sort of like fancy cars are coming through, being valeted behind me.
Is your car in the queue, Dave?
Big one?
Is your car in the queue to be valeted?
No, I don't think they're sort of going to consider my Aston Martin against their sort of Ford Fiestas. So I kind of doubt it. But yeah, look out for Jeff Cameron either starting against Arsenal or certainly being on the bench. I think he will get some part of the game not tomorrow, this Sunday, isn't it, 1:30?
Yeah, I've got to ask you, there's still rumours around, and can you update us really with what may or may not be happening regarding the Michael Owen? Because situation, there was interest, wasn't there, at one time? What's happening with that?
Yeah, he was asked again about that today, and he didn't rule it out. He didn't sort of say, oh, no, we're not doing that or anything like this. The sticking point seems to be the money. He seems to be on an enormous amount of money, and I think that it's cat and mouse sort of... obviously the transfer deadline isn't until a week tomorrow. It's a week Friday. No, it's a week today, isn't it? Yeah. So it'll be midnight or something like this next Friday. And as Pulis has said time and time again, we tend to do our business, at the back end, when the backs are to the wall. So you're going to decide, do you want to be playing Premier League football and this sort of thing? And when it comes to the crunch, I'm fairly sure Pulis wants Michael Owen, but it really is a matter of, I'm not sure that Stoke will cough up the sort of money that Owen wants on a game basis, and I think that's the sticking point. It'd be such a shame, but at the end of the day, you can't really go too mad on paying one player an enormous amount and everybody else sitting there going, why is he on an enormous amount and will he play every game? So I think he's weighing that up as well. But tune in next week. It's going to be really exciting.
What's the feeling in the camp then ahead of that Arsenal game, Dave? Any injury worries?
No injury worries at all, it seems, and so it really is a matter of he's got a. I mean, somebody said today that because he's thinking Sunday kick-off 1:30, and then he's thinking Tuesday kick-off for the Swindon game, which is what's the competition? It's not the Carling or Coca-Cola Cup.
I think it's a Capital One Cup this year, Dave. I think it changes, doesn't it?
We give them far too much publicity, these people. We'll call it the League Cup and be done with it. But he did say he's clearly thinking of with the squad size that it is, who's going to play on Sunday, who's going to play on Tuesday night, and so I think it's going to be a very different side who plays on Tuesday. So that's his major thinking at the moment.
What sort of Arsenal side can we expect this weekend? I mean, of course, there's a lot of players that have left the Emirates, different Arsenal side. Some people are saying, and rightly so, Dave, that Arsenal have appeared to be a selling club now, which won't go down with Gunners, I know. But what sort of side can we expect this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Pulis isn't sort of like saying that they're going to win the championship, because he was asked, do you think that this side could win that Arsenal could win the Premier League Championship, and he wouldn't be drawn on that. But I kind of got the impression from his answer that he didn't see them as one of the major challengers. However, he did point out that yes, one or two players have left from Arsenal, but they are still a superb side with an incredible collection of players. And he did sort of say, well, if we lost a couple of really top players, we would struggle. But when you look at Arsenal's squad, it's not the same. So yes, I think that it's going to be just as tough, if not tougher, on Sunday to get a result for Stoke.
Yeah, just looking back to last weekend, I mean, I know it's early doors and you can't read too much into just one game so far, but what did you make of the performance at the Majeski Stadium?
I thought it was good. There was obviously some grumbles from fans about CP's tactics. Like should he have taken Whitehead off? He was obviously going to struggle having a ready over on him, and also bringing off the wingers and putting on Rory Delap. And there's a lot of criticism about that. And if he'd have been in a better mood, I might have sort of, teased him about that or something like this. But I didn't think he was in a sort of mood to sort of answer questions about that, apart from to say that he was disappointed about it. And I thought, I think a lot of people see it as 2 points dropped rather than 1 point gained. But he's trying to put a positive spin on it and sort of say, it was a difficult game against a newly promoted side. We're playing Arsenal this week. I'm much more comfortable about playing at home to Arsenal this week than I was playing away to Reading last week. So I think that's the way he's sort of seeing it. He said it's a 1-1 draw. We're putting that behind us. Kightly got a goal. Good performance, not great but good. We've learned a few lessons. Now let's move on to Arsenal and the enormous game against Swindon.
Yes.
But he's looking forward, and I think I am as well.
Do you think they'll be taking the League Cup seriously, Dave? I mean, some of the bigger clubs, of course, now in the Premiership can't really be that bothered with, the competition we call the League Cup. But do you think Stoke City will be taking it seriously?
Well, it was pointed out to him that it's a competition that Stoke have won 40 years ago, as he said. By the time the next one comes up, final comes up, it'll be 41 years. Why not Stoke? I think the problem with the Premier League sides is the first couple of rounds, they sort of like play it by ear, because they're obviously playing their squad by ear. They don't want to risk any sort of players for the first couple of rounds, just to sort of get their feet under the table in the Premier, in the league. And then sort of like afterwards they say, right, how far are we in? How far can we get? Who are we playing? And then they start taking it seriously. And I can't blame them. It's a smaller squad, well, it's a slightly smaller squad than last year. they don't have so many players around for the Europa League. They don't need so many players. On the other hand, they want to give all the other players a go. The side who will play Swindon, I'm absolutely sure, will be, I would say, completely different. I would say that even down to the substitutes will be completely different from the Arsenal game. That shouldn't be such a problem. They're great players and all this sort of thing. But come the second or third round, things will start to change, and I think then you'll realise just how much. I think because he will start missing the Europa League, I think, and missing that distraction. He might start taking it seriously come October, come November, and I think that's the time to sort of ask the question: how seriously is Stoke and Tony Pulis taking this competition?
Okay, Dave, it's great to talk to you. Have you got anything else to add before we go? Hopefully we can catch up again next Friday.
There was one point, actually, was that there's a strange story going around at the media, and has been for months, about Chris Coleman, the manager of Wales, talking about Ryan Shawcross playing for Wales, and how he has to pacify Ramsey or something like this to allow Shawcross to be approached or something like this. Well, apparently Tony Pulis has told us today that Chris Coleman has been down to Stoke to talk directly to Ryan Shawcross about playing for Wales, and to explain away these media rumours and stories that have got completely out of hand. And when asked about, would you be happy, being a Welshman yourself, for Ryan Shawcross playing for Wales, he said, yes, I'd be delighted. So I think the door may still be open for Ryan to play for Wales, although I personally wouldn't have thought it was such a great idea he could still play for England. But it was interesting that, because I thought that story had died away and gone away, but it's still there, so there you go.
So very much watch this space then, Dave?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good to talk to you, and we'll catch up again next week.
Thanks, all right.
Bye for now.
Classic hits and today's biggest tunes. Six Towns Radio.